stuff.
I know.
That one will get you.
So that's fine.
Saying that you might go just around that side because the umpires or the officials, they need to see that guideline.
Oh, right, okay.
Or yeah, and just as you get past. This is a tight corner here.
Yeah, okay.
Just because it's a tight corner.
Yeah.
Once we move further up,
it's no so bad.
It's better. But yeah, you might want to just even just right there. That's fine. Right, is this game on now?
No, this will be the second trial end, is it? Hello, good morning. Welcome to day 5 of the 20th International Island Games here at Kirkwall Bowling Club for the final day of the Lawn Bowls. The players are on the green and are just completing their final trial ends before the match begins. The timetable for today is that the first match starts, well, it'll be just starting. The next session's at 11 o'clock. The third session's at 1:30 this afternoon. And the final session's at 3:30. And it moves on then to the medal ceremony at 6 o'clock. On ring 1, playing in the mixed pairs, we are following the match between Bermuda, where Braden and Genoa Rustand are playing Shetland, Anne Robertson and Alec Elphinston. So that's the last bowl of the try lens heading towards the head, and the match is just ready to begin. So Anne from Shetland is rolling the jack. She's laid the mat down and needs to choose where to try and place it. Whether she wants a short jack or a long jack, we'll soon find out. The skip, Alex, was standing in the centre, I suspect trying to indicate where he would like her to place the jack, and she managed to roll it just about a yard short of where he was standing. So it's a kind of 3/4 length jack, 3/4 length up the green. And the first bowl's being delivered. A pretty good opening bowl. Sometimes even after a couple of try lens you need to just catch the pace and work out how much grass is needed, how far you need to throw the ball out on each hand. But that's only about 6 inches short, and Bermuda there just nicked the Shetland bowl but sailed a little past the head, but pretty good, just 2 feet past the white. So good opening bowls. So maybe 2 or 3 feet short. Bermuda are the bowls with the blue stickers, and Shetland's bowls all have the red stickers. And with the rules of play for this game, each person throws 3 bowls, so the maximum number of shots any team can get in one end is 6. That's pretty unusual, but it does happen occasionally. So the maximum number of shots is 6, and the players will play 13 ends altogether. Shetland just touched the ball, which pushed the white forward, and now means that Bermuda is lying the shot. So unfortunately he just gave the shot away there, but plenty balls still to come. He's changing his hand. He's going to try and reach, I suspect, that blue Bermuda ball at the back, but he was just maybe a yard and a half short. I suspect with his last ball he'll be nearer the white. Braden sticking to the backhand, and just a bit heavy like his first ball. In fact, a wee bit more heavy. Alex bowls in its way, nearing the head. Certainly more weight. Has it got quite enough weight? Not just, and still that wee bit short. So Bermuda lying short. He's going to try and draw in for a second shot. If he did pick it up, he might manage to sneak the jack back a bit, but he's short too. He's just quite content to take the one. So after the first end, that's 1 to Bermuda. The skip's indicating that that bowl is about a yard short. The first Shetland bowl's heading towards the head, starting to slow down and draw in, and that'll be the shot, maybe 6 inches short. A good opener. And trying to draw in for 2. Following much the same line, a wee bit heavier. Maybe a yard past the jack. That looks like just taking too much grass. Certainly a bit more weight, got it nearer the head, just a foot short, but the grass has just held it out. So it's still Shetland that's lying in this end. She's trying to draw in for a third, wee bit short. So as they move to the head, Shetland will be lying 2. Braden's first bowl. He's close to the white but just slips past. But they're clapping, so that's the shot bowl in. Alex trying just to face it, but he'll draw away and just slip past it. So no change. It's a glorious setting, Kirkwall Bowling Club, with the Earl's Palace behind and also St Magnus Cathedral, and that's the clock just struck the half hour. 9:30 on this beautiful morning. Alec 2 22, maybe a little tight, but how's his weight? Foot short. Braden, is he going to touch that white? Beautifully drawn. And he's trying to change things. He's got that. He's got a touch in the bowl. So it's 1 to Bermuda. I think he managed to cut down a shot there. So 1 rather than 2. So after 2 ends, Bermuda with the blue stickers have 2 shots. 2 shots up. Each team has, well, certainly the Orkney team I know for sure, and I think many teams have sort of 2 uniforms. The one that is the collective team uniform that they would wear in the opening procession, and then for individual sports they have their own and different kit. So Bermuda are in pink and blue, and Shetland in blue and green and white. So the first Bermuda bowl a couple of yards past. And Anne is about the same in front. For those new to bowls, I'll just explain a little about some of the rules. If the player delivers their bowl and before it comes to a stop, it touches the white, the jack, then you'll see someone will move forward and spray chalk onto the bowl, and it's called a chalker. And then when the bowl, if the bowl ends up falling off the end of the lawn and into the ditch, if it is a chalker bowl, it's still live and it would still count. But if other bowls fell into the ditch, they would be dead and they would be lifted off and placed on the bank. So we might see it later in the game, and that can be pretty significant. So Shetland lying to as the players change over and the leads move up to the head and the skips go down to the mat, ready to play. Bermuda just clipped that Shetland bowl and rolled on past, so it's certainly 1 shot, maybe still 2 for Shetland. And this looks a beautiful bowl coming into the head, and that's another 1 counting. He's a little short, which means he's not cutting down. He was just trying to gently draw in and beat those 3 Shetland bowls. change of hand. Shetland was clearly not want to tap that red ball any nearer the jack, and another beautifully drawn ball just 10 inches short of the white. It's very close this time. That's a good ball, but not quite close enough to beat those 3 Shetland balls. That last Shetland ball a wee bit short, so not in the count. Players are examining, so it's clearly 3, and they're both content with that. So that's 3 to Shetland, and that tips the scoreboard. Bermuda were ahead, and now Shetland are leading 3 shots to 2 after 3 ends. A bit of a later start for the bowls today. The last couple of mornings, play has begun at 8:30, but a later start today, 9:15. And I'm sure the players would have been quite glad that they had a little longer in the morning to get ready. So the person, when they lay the mat down, can really choose to lay it from anywhere from a couple of steps out from the edge of the green to right up to that. I don't know if you can see in the picture that 25 marker, the red marker, so they can put it anywhere there. But if they put it right up to that marker, then the jack itself would have to go full length right up to the 2 steps in from the edge of the green. Otherwise it would be too short. The jack would be returned, and the opposite team would have control of what to do with the jack, which would mean they could move the mat again where they would like it, and try to place the jack in the position they would like that. Bermuda just a little bit too heavy there, so the ball landed in the ditch, and you would have seen it was lifted out and placed at the side on the bank. Because it's a dead ball, it couldn't count. Even if the jack had landed in the ditch and was quite near it, well, it wouldn't be near it because it's taken out, because it's a dead ball. But had that ball been a chalker and had ended up in the ditch, it would still sit there, and they would... Good effort there, but just slipped past. Yes, if it was a chalker, as I was saying, if it was a chalker ball that ended up in the ditch, it would remain there and it would still be live and could still count if it was nearer than the closest opposition ball. Lovely shot in there from Shetland. The other thing that happens if a ball lands in the ditch, then Bermuda just a wee bit heavy and slipping past. But a good head of bowls, good bowling from the leads there. Yes, if the jack or a live bowl ends up in the ditch, then they will mark it with little markers that are red, white and blue. The white goes on the bank in line with the jack, and the coloured red and blue would go to the appropriately coloured stickered bowl in the ditch. So those bowls with red sticker, red marker, and those bowls with blue would get the blue marker. And it just means if you're standing in the mat, although the jack or the bowl would be physically out of sight, then you would still see where it was in the ditch, and that helps you to draw close. Always trying to get close to that white jack as you can. looks like a bit wide from Bermuda there. I don't think it will draw back sufficiently. Skip seeking a bit of advice what hand to play, but he's been told to play, or the lead's indicating he should play the forehand. And she raises her hand, quite pleased with that one. Playing this way, the players are playing into the sun, and they've all got either baseball caps or hats. Fine shot there from Bermuda, just nicked the edge of that Shetland bowl to fall in to be the closest shot. And 2 more bowls to play. He's certainly up at the head. Caught the jack, trailed it back, and the Bermuda head is going up to have a look. The rules are that they can do that, the skips can go up and have a look at the head when they've got 1 more bowl to play. That can be very helpful to see, especially when the jack's been moved, to see precisely where it's sitting and how the other bowls are sitting round about it. I imagine he's not going to be short. He'll make sure he's reaches the head. And ball's underway. A little high perhaps, and he's just going past the head. So no change. Two shots to Shetland. 5-3 after 4 ends. Sorry, 5-2 after 4 ends. Bermuda won those first 2 ends, and Shetland's won ends 3 and 4.
Bermuda last year changed the score. Can she put up the Shetlands? But I thought you had 3 that one end right enough. But I don't go by what they got to.
So Bermuda lying the shot, but that's the Bermuda lead. I'm hearing her say they've still got plenty of room. And so Alex trying to use that and draw in to be closer than that blue stickered bowl. He's a wee bit short, he's not going to reach the head. No change, about a yard short. The Bermuda skip just a yard past. If they're past, they can always come in handy. If the jack gets trailed backward, it could always come into the count if a bowl's particularly short, quite close. As I was saying, if a bowl's at the back and the jack gets trailed, it could still come into the count, whereas if a bowl's in the front, quite far short, unless it gets a heavy dunt in, it has less chance of counting. He just wobbles the Bermuda bowl, but it doesn't move it any closer to the jack. Another nice shot from the Shetland skip. Braden's bowl's on its way, but short. So no change there. That's the last bowl. They're having a good look. 1 to Shetland. So Shetland are ahead, but I've spotted a wee discrepancy with my counting and the numbers on the scoreboard at the end of the rink. So we'll bring you the actual score when it's clearer. But anyway, Shetland are certainly ahead after 5 ends. Well, I've got 2 sets in my tally, but the Leeds haven't put it up. I wonder if he just didn't put it up.
Because I see they're sitting at 2 actually.
Bermuda got the first 2 ends.
Yeah.
So they got.
I've got 3
No,
against.
that's my
I've got
problem.
3 against them in this.
It's what have you got? Do you think it's?
I've got 3 against Bermuda, but I think I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think.
I'll be the same as you. I think I'm added into Bermuda by mistake, and that's why you're getting your extra 6. Getting the extra 1. So that one that drifted quite or just shit. Which is why I'm right.
Lovely shot in there. Wee round of applause. And you see the skip.
Shetland did the same yesterday on the same rink. They
maybe ask him.
But
I'll maybe ask the official if I can ask him.
they did get a mix up yesterday too.
Yeah.
What he was saying, I remember that happened.
Yeah, okay.
That's very next to the weekend.
So the Shetland skip came up and changed the scores at the end, and the notice board at the end of the rink is reading 5 for Shetland and 2 for Bermuda after 5 ends. Beautiful bowl coming in. I heard the click, the chalk's coming out, and Bermuda's lying shot. The lead indicating he could play either hand, whatever he preferred. He's played the backhand very, very close. And so Bermuda is lying the shot. It's quite a short bowl. And the Shetland skip's gone up to the head, but the Bermuda skip stayed in the mat. He's quite close, just a wee bit high, and slips past the head, so still Bermuda lying with 1 bowl to play. It's on its way, quite brave. Just a wee bit tight and slipping to the side. 1 to Bermuda. Three shots to Bermuda and 5 to Shetland after 6 ends. Quite a long jack. Let's stay on, or will it go all the way to the ditch? No, it stays on, and so it will be picked up and placed on the marker. There's a little white marker in the green, and that's where the jack's placed. That, in fact, is also the marker to indicate the placing of the mat. It can't be any closer to the ditch than that. Must be that far away from the mat. A lovely bowl in there. Just a 2.5 feet past the white. But a good opener. other thing that can happen in the rules of play is that if the white a lovely ball in there, that's the shot maybe a foot past. If the jack were to be hit strongly and goes sideways and leaves the rink, goes beyond the white marker pegs either side of the rink, then in the rules of play for this competition, it's respotted. So it would go in the place it is now, and the balls nearest that place would be the counting balls. So it wouldn't be dead, it wouldn't be that players would receive no shots, it would be respotted, and you would work out who was lying. So if it's close or players are thinking tactically, they'll also not only be thinking about where the jack is, but if they're thinking about trying to maybe come up with a weight and move the jack away to the side, that would be beneficial for them if their balls are closest to that spot on the green where the jack would be placed. So, one shot to Shetland asks the skips go up to the mats and the leads come up to the head. Bermuda coming in, is he clipping that? Just didn't quite catch it on the right side. Had he caught it in the inner edge, he would have fallen in, taken the blue ball's place, but he just rolled past. No change with that Shetland ball, and Braden getting another attempt. And beautifully draws in for the shot. Quite difficult to beat, but there's maybe 5 inches to beat that, but he's not quite at the head. So Bermuda lying. Couple of yards short. And he's trying, has he caught the front? That front ball that was the last ball from Bermuda has just stopped him reaching the head, and so Bermuda take that end. One shot to Bermuda. So a close match, just one in it. The lead was from Bermuda was a little concerned she'd thrown the jack too far, but it's still in the green, and so it's quite a long jack this end. So 7 ends having been played, we're more than halfway through the match, and as I said, just one shot in it. A little unfortunate that Bermuda had bowls in the ditch. Shetland are 3 up. The Bermuda skip will be keen to get in and cut down here. He's indicating he might be a little heavy, but he's close to the white. Oh, he clipped it, so it's a choker, but he drew away to the right and Jack moved to the left. Shetland trying to draw in for another. Pretty well weighted. One, two, out. Having a closer look. Still debating what the number of shots is. So they're calling on the umpire to measure because it's quite close. 2 out and measuring for next nearest. Aye, that's fine. I just want to recheck. I thought one end you'd got a 3, but no. Well,
That's what he thought.
you're the player.
The score?
I was saying that I was just checking the score because I thought
That's what I thought. That's what I had to do. So let's ask them. I thought I saw 3 times.
because I think Shetland is another 1. I think they got a 3, but they've only marked up 2. But the Bermuda skip thought it was a 3 as well.
It's whatever they've got in your cards. You've got to
Agree
discuss it
between
with the
them.
two of them. Agree between you what's on your
Just
card.
whatever you put
Get
down.
it fixed.
Yeah, thank you.
Just stands up right there.
Well, we're going to check the leads. I think it was a 3, so I think I went just put down the 2, but the Bermuda skip thing Shetland should have got a 3.
I think so too. I think so too. I think, I think they should.
Not this end, the one earlier when
Yeah,
they were
you know,
getting it
I
wrong.
mean, I counted 3 for that end, but they put 2 up, so I just followed what they did. But I thought the same. I thought it was 3. I thought it was 3.
So that's now 7 to Shetland, 4 to Bermuda after 8 ends. Slightly shorter jack. Bermuda been playing a long jack, choosing to play a long jack when they control the length of it, but Shetland choosing to make it a bit shorter. And a very good opening bowl. Jack high must only be about 6 inches away from the white. She just caught her own bowl, that would have slowed her down, and she would have 2 very close, but still 2 counting. That one slipped past maybe a couple of feet. Just a wee bit tight, and a wee bit heavy, just sailing past, but she's got a third bowl still to play. And trying to draw in for 3, and she's done that. 3 nice bowls from Anne Robertson from Shetland. Genoa, wee bit high and heavy, clicked that Bermuda bowl. So they've got 2 good back bowls. If the Bermuda skip were to trail that jack further back the green, that would mean they could count a few, but at present it's they're lying 3, Shetland lying 3. Did you get a 3, Anne? Nice bowl coming in, beautifully drawn. Another scoring bowl from Shetland. Braden was very close last time. He'll just try to be making a minor adjustment. Just a wee bit too wide to pick that jack up, and he just goes past. The final bowl of this end underway. Not quite reaching, is he? Well, just a no more, but too tight to make any difference. If he'd just taken a bit more grass, he could have fallen into those 2 bowls and made a difference. 3 shots to Shetland. A slightly longer jack than the last end, but still not as long as the length of the jack that Bermuda have been choosing to play. Drawing him nicely there at the end. Round of applause for that first bowl into the head. Genoa playing the other hand. Just a little heavy and unluckily didn't pick up the jack. wee bit heavier than before, but as I said earlier, always useful if you've got a ball behind the jack. It can always come into the count, either because the jack gets trailed back or maybe even if it gets respotted. Another lovely bowl in, lying 3. Hands coming on to a game, last couple of ends. Lovely bowling. Good effort for Bermuda, but just through again. So Bermuda have those 3 back bowls, Shetland with the 3 bowls nearest the jack. Another one drawn in for Shetland. Braden pretty close. He'll draw away at the end, but lovely weight. What a turnaround from 4 down to lying the shot. Great shot there from Bermuda. Alec too close, it'll draw as it slows down. Is his weight enough? Yes. Super head of bowls. A bit wide when you put it out there in the forehand. It just hangs a bit and doesn't draw back so much if you're just that wee bit too wide. On the backhand though, nice draw in, and it'll draw in nicely here. Is it just a wee bit too heavy? Just gone through too much to be in the count, I think. The Bermuda lead indicating there that it's actually quite close, so it may be a measure for who is the shot. Again, it's hanging out there on that forehand. So they'll now decide, and yes, the umpire's already in the green. So they're going to measure, and that will decide what's closest. So the players step back, all the other bowls are taken out the head, and it's only the bowls that are in question that may be in the chance of a count that stay in the green. He'll measure one, measure the other, and then go back to check, and then he'll roll out the bowl that's the shot. So it's 1 to Shetland. Lovely bowl in there from Anne.
Sorry to bother you guys, what is the score? And are these on the right side?
I think you got one.
Somebody thinks the board's back to front.
I think it's 12.
Yeah, who's red?
Let me listen to this.
I thought I saw 3 taps.
I thought I saw 2 taps, I did. But my partner says it was 3 taps.
Noise with the colours, they thought the scores were back to front. Somebody come in.
Oh,
They
no,
thought
no,
the
no,
scores were the
I
wrong
think
way
it's
round.
never read.
I'm not sure the numbers are right, but they're the right way
The
around.
right way round. It was-
Shetland's up.
It was Shetland, one of the Shetland guys that came in and said they're the wrong way round about.
Alec, maybe you put it in the board, would you?
Aye, that's the problem, you know.
I just noticed I had my scores back.
How did you have yours back?
And I bet that's what my score. I was getting mixed with Shetland and bloody blue shirts now.
It's the other way around.
But I corrected it in about 5 minutes. Listen, I didn't put up a score at that at one point.
No, that's right.
Because it's now 11-4.
There was a bit of a discussion there about what the actual score was. The umpire was just asking the players and checking, and they've had a bit of a discussion, and the lead and the skip are discussing as well. But the board has been marked up, and at present it's sitting at 11 for Shetland, 4 for Bermuda after 10 ends. We'll see if that is what they've all decided is the right score.
Yeah, you mentioned that the live stream had it the wrong way, but it's correct.
Okay, I understand that the live stream had it the wrong way round to start with, but it's the right way round now. So Shetland are at least 7 shots up. And I think that's what the settled position is.
They're actually saying it's your score.
A beautiful Bermuda bowl in there, cutting out 2 off the Shetland shots, so they're only lying 1 now, whereas they were lying 3 before.
Because he came back in there.
He's coming close to the head, but short actually, so not making any difference. Shetland lead indicating that Alex should play the backhand, and he's done that. He's just that wee bit short, so no difference. This far on in the match, you'd be quite happy just with the 1, I suspect. Last bowl of the head underway. I suspect he realises it's not going to make a change, and that's the case. So it's 1 to Shetland, 4-12 to Shetland with 2 ends to play. So Bermuda 7 shots behind, and in each end 6 shots can be won, so they could theoretically get another 12 shots. So this is a pretty critical end. If they don't get within 6 of Shetland by the end of this end, then Shetland have won the match. Put it another way, Bermuda need 2 shots in this end to have any possibility at all of winning this game. But I'm sure ideally they would want to get as big a score as possible in this end. Shetland will be at this stage that they just need to make sure the bowls are mixed up and they don't lose a big score to make sure they win this match and secure the points. If after all the games people sit in the same points, then shot difference comes into play. So there's always that play-off between, do you mix them up and make sure no big ends are lost, or do you keep trying to go for more shots so that if score difference were to come into play, you'd be trying to optimise that in your favour. Looks like a nice bowl coming in. Chalker, right on top of the white, very difficult to beat. She's making sure she's up so that she could make a difference, but just a wee bit too wide and sails past the head and into the ditch. So she's lost 2 bowls, which means the very most Bermuda could get at this head now would be 4. But Shetland on top of the white. Now, after all the discussions, the Bermuda skip has just gone up and altered the scoreboard to indicate that it's 13-4 after 11 ends, and that tallies with my scoring as I'd been marking it from the start. But I was just going by the scoreboard, knowing that the players were the ones who really determine and agree what the score is. And after all those conversations, they must have agreed that Shetland had another point that hadn't been shown in the board. So that does change things. Bermuda would need at least 3 shots in this end so that they don't lose the match. So only 4 balls to come, and it's looking as though this is going to be Shetland's game. Great effort from Bermuda there, a little edge off, but still no alteration. Again, in that hand, hangs out, not quite coming back enough. So definite Shetland have the points and have won this match, but they'll keep playing on, and that will work out shot differences if that's needed later on. They've called the umpire in, and they're removing all the balls that are clearly not in the count. He's putting a wedge in to make sure the ball doesn't tip over, and another wedge in that bowl, and we just wait to see how many shots are awarded. And it was 3 shots to Shetland. (16-4) after 12 ends on the board. Skips checking their scorecards and moving forward now to centre the white. Wondering if it's over. So they're going to centre the jack first, and then they're going to measure it to see if it's regulation length. A bit of debate about that. If it's regulating length, then the play will start. If it's too short, then the jack will be returned, and the Bermuda player will be able to determine where to lay the mat and where to place the mat. So it was a few inches too short. The jack's been thrown back, and now Bermuda have control of the jack. Now, interestingly, if the Bermuda player places the jack in the ditch, because that's been a kind of an unregulation jack 2 times in a row, what would happen is it would be placed on the spot, and the Shetland player would be able to move the mat to where they would like the mat to be, but the jack would land in the spot. But it's not, it's well short of that spot. It's a regulation length jack, so Bermuda have had the advantage of trying to choose the length of the jack. I mean, as was indicated at the end of the last game, Shetland have won this match, so it's not critical, but if, say, one team was playing very well to a long jack and the other team playing well to a short jack, to have control of the jack can be pretty critical. Lovely bowl in there from Anne, only a few inches away. She's had a very good game. Lovely bowl there too from Bermuda, only a foot or so away too. So a start of a lovely head. This the 13th and final end of this match. Shetland against Bermuda. Coming into the head, just that little bit heavy and through, but if the jack did happen to get trailed, then it could come into the count. I think Bermuda just a bit tight with that one, and so both those last two bowls were tight and fell away from the head. So Skips going up to the mat for the last time. Alec throwing it out nicely, waiting for it to draw back in, just that little bit short. I would be tempted to play the backhand if I was the Bermuda player, with enough weight to try and chap that red ball or pick up the jack and trail it back to those blue Bermuda balls at the back. He's not far away. Is he heavy enough? He's near the jack. Oh, great effort. That same shot's still on. I'd play with a little more weight, try and knock away the red ball and trail that white back, and he would be lying 4. Shetland coming into the head himself, chapped out the Bermuda bowl, kind of mixes up the bowls now, but still I would stick to that backhand if I was Bermuda. Ball's in its way. The ball's in its way. Oh, he's a wee bit short, so no change. Two more balls to come. Alec again, quite close to the head, drawing in nicely. Lovely ball. Just clipped the Shetland ball at the back, but I think it still remains in the count. Braden, I suspect his weight may just hold him past the head, but a great effort. He just needed to be a wee bit tighter, hold it in a little bit. I think they conceded 3 there, but we'll see when the scoreboard is marked up. Game's over, and Shetland have won that game. Yeah, that was 3-2 Shetland, so the